What's up, guys? This is Aaron, and it is time for college football best bets here for the final four of the playoff. So we got Penn State and Notre Dame. We've got Ohio State and Texas, and I've got two plays here for you. On the year, 117 and 95. In 212 plays, we're hitting 55%, nearing 10 units of profit. Hopefully, we can improve on that as well with 3 games left. So game number 1, Penn State, Notre Dame. I took Penn State +2. I got it at -116. It got hit today. I think it's down to +1 now. I would still be okay with that because I do think that Penn State wins the game. Obviously, wouldn't be taking a +2 if I didn't think they won outright. This is going to be probably a very close game. Could come down to the wire. But here's a couple of things that I'm looking at here. Just schematically, personnel-wise, Penn State is pretty reliant on the run, but they don't have to. And sometimes they even abandon the run when the run's working pretty well, like they did in the last game. Actually, in the last 2 games. They do have Warren, the tight end. He can make catches, he can block, he can get you an explosive play downfield. Their wide receivers are not especially explosive or anything. You don't hear their names called too often. Quarterback can run a little bit. On defense, they do play really good Big Ten football. They're really firm up front. Front seven's really good. You don't see them getting beat a lot in pass coverage. Notre Dame is pretty similar to that, except what I don't like is that Notre Dame really relies on the run game. And it's just that throughout the season, they've got the number 54 strength of schedule. Most of the year when they're racking up these double-digit wins, they're playing against pretty inferior competition. You just load the box, play man-to-man on the outside. Those teams don't have anybody that can beat you. As long as you're stopping the quarterback run, if their quarterback can even run, you're really limiting, the opponent. And so they play this really sort of slow squeeze, really slowly with the run game. They only throw for 150, 200 yards in a game. They really rely on the quarterback run, especially when they get behind the chains. 2nd and 11, 3rd and 7. They really look to get the quarterback either running or, a rollout or something where the quarterback has the ability to run. And for, most of the season, they've gotten away with that. But I think once you get down here to the Final Four, a title game, you really have to be able to stretch the field on offense. I just don't think that they can do that. Now, as good as they can play man on the outside and, just bring 4, bring 5, they've been able to stop the run really well, stop the pass. But in games like this, I just like the team that I know can throw the ball downfield and is willing to do so, so that you can hit, a deep pass and you don't really have to run, with the running back or run the quarterback, because you really can't make explosive plays on the outside. And Notre Dame's, and they've had injuries all year that they've done really well, next man up mentality. But, their defensive line's a little bit light. I'm thinking that probably Penn State can run on them between the tackles, mix in inside zone and outside zone. The quarterback can pick up a first down. They can, with the tight end, especially in the red zone, you have that option. As long as the turnovers, which is how Notre Dame has really capitalized in some of these games, I think Penn State's going to win this game. So Notre Dame, obviously they've got some good wins. They did beat Louisville. They did beat Texas A&M, but also, with A&M in the first game, that's still a team that, we saw throughout the course of the season. They're not able to really stretch the field. That they're really relying on the quarterback run, especially once they changed quarterbacks. They got outgained by Northern Illinois by 102 yards. Riley Leonard forced to throw the ball a little bit, throws 2 interceptions. Against Louisville, they win, but they're minus 115 yards. against USC, minus 121 yards, and they allowed 557 yards to USC. The only difference in the score in the game is the 2 pick sixes late. Okay, so, we're talking a tie game if you take out, plays that are not so replicable, if the game is played over and over and over again. And then with Penn State, it's not that they've played an extremely tough schedule, but their schedule rank is 33rd as opposed to 54th. So at least, and they've played Ohio State. They have played a team that was better than them. So let's just take Penn State plus the 2. Game number 2, Ohio State, Texas. I took Ohio State. I got it -6. There's even a -5.5 across the board now. So let's add this at -5.5. I got -108 on that. So strength of schedule is roughly even. Ohio State has played Oregon twice, so they've also played a top team twice. Texas, for most of the season, Michigan without a pass game. They beat Florida by margin. Florida's good, but in that game, they had a bunch of defensive backs out, down to their third freshman quarterback, like walk-on level guy that's never played before. So, I'm not impressed by those. I have been impressed by their elite run defense all year. Top 5 rush defense. They're still good in the secondary. They can make plays. They can, they can play man and zone. The problem with Texas, though, is that they just haven't played a single team this year that has it all put together like Ohio State does. There's usually only a handful of teams like that to begin with, and especially this year, the 2 losses to Georgia. You lost to a Georgia team in the first game where Carson Beck's throwing all kind of interceptions, and you still can't win. The second game, they lose again, and you even got a couple of series with the backup quarterback for Georgia, and they still scored late. When you had the lead late, they scored on you with the backup to win the game. Something about these Sarkisian teams, as great of an offensive guy as he is, I think he's a good coach. They don't score in the red zone. Blame it on a Quinn Ewers injury for half the season, whatever. But, your quarterback's like a statue out there. So if he's not throwing dimes, if he's missing, if he's turning the ball over, they had 2.0 yards per carry last week against Arizona State. It wasn't a great Arizona State team. They gave up 3.8 yards per carry across their season. But look at the level of competition week in and week out. It's not exactly, top teams constantly. Whereas for Texas, that game last week, they're minus 135 yards. They never really stopped Arizona State. Arizona State just couldn't put the points on the board once they got the yards. They've got a running back throwing up on the sidelines, and he's still hitting you for over 100 yards, 100 and 150, something like that. You've got a 2-touchdown lead, and you blow the whole thing, goes into overtime. You got a 4th and 15 that you're trying to convert for a win. That's just not good enough. Something about this team, banged up offensive line, whatever it may be. But, if your running backs cannot run the ball against this Ohio State defensive line, rushing 4 really, it's going to be a long day. Quinn Ewers can't do this all by himself. So last week, Arizona State ran 97 plays. So Texas is coming off a game where they had to defend almost 100 plays. That really catches up to you, especially now that you've played so many games in the season. They gave up 510 yards. They were out in the number of plays. They were outplayed 97 plays to 60. So you're minus 37 plays. You didn't control time of possession. You didn't control in yardage. It was just one of those kind of crazy games. So for this game, you're now stepping up in competition at a level where you haven't had to do all season long. Georgia's just not on the level, obviously with the wide receiver difference, Jeremiah Smith to the guys that Georgia's putting out there. I mean, there's just, Emeka Egbuka, the tight end catches passes, running backs catch passes. You got two bona fide NFL running backs. I just think it's going to be kind of a long day for Texas. I don't necessarily think that this is some kind of blowout game, but I did take Ohio State -5.5. I think that there's going to be a lot of some people, who think that, 6 is just a lot of points. 5.5 is just a lot of points. And, a game where the talent is equal. But I think once you look at like the styles here that each team, personnel wise, things like that, I just think that Ohio State's going to be able to do, and I really think that they could probably win this by double digits. Once Texas gets behind, I'm not sure how they're going to, because then you're just throwing the ball. Ohio State can tee off. So let's go Ohio State -5.5. We'll be back next week with the national championship. So let's see, that's 2 plays. Let's make some money.